Welcome, beautiful people, to season 2, episode 15 of Jahmi Roc's Jottings. This seriously silly space for intentional musicology, sonic joy, and the kind of reggae insight that'll keep your mind rocking and your thoughts swaying. I'm your host, Jahmi Roc, a.k.a. Racquel Bernard. Let's jam our way into part 2 of a conversation with Empress Truth, a.k.a. Dr. Truth Akins. Welcome, Empress Truth. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. One love. I'm grateful for the space, and I'm looking forward to being part of your jottings. Thank you. Much
Thank you.
respect.
Much respect to you as well. So, the last thing we talked about on the previous episode was 8 degrees of yes, and you were walking us through those 8 degrees, those situations in life, right? And so let's pick up where we left off there. For those who maybe didn't catch last week's episode, can you break down again what those 8 degrees of yes are?
Sure. 8 degrees of yes is saying yes to life at a higher degree, where the first degree of yes is really looking at life where some people they struggle with suicide, or they have experienced family members who may have committed suicide. I use my story as an example. In my story, my father had committed suicide when I was 7, and uh, he was going to have he had this threat over us all to kill us all, dragging my mom uh, back up this hallway to the basement. It's a really sad time, but at the same time, I had this experience, spiritual uh, type of uh, encounter with this light that was like an orb. It was really beautiful, and I followed it with my eyes. And when it landed on this picture, it was one of those old pictures of Jesus that everybody kind of had in their house. But it's one of those you know pictures that a lot of people from that generation are with. This is back in 1982. Um, I just had this feeling of peace beyond like human understanding. I had a blink of an eye moment. We're here for just a little bit. And then I came back and my sister's waving at me and she's saying, get over here, get over here. We gotta, I'm trying to call the police on dad because he's trying to kill mom. But I was 7 years old. I didn't really understand. So writing about that experience in my first degree of yes, a lot of people have that same encounter, with like a near death
Mhm.
experience, something that's fatalistic. Some young people who go out and participate in maybe a gang or something violent. It's like they have a death wish almost. There's this fatalist type of suicidal. I don't really want to live life level. So that first degree is really difficult to write about, but those stories change the perspective of others. It gives us hope that you survived. And so that first degree of yes is heavy, but when we share that story, it does lift us up to a higher level of learning. Um, Second degree is really working with survival mode. I don't want to die, but I've learned to survive. And so I've learned how to survive. I go to work, I hustle, I do my grind, whatever that may be for any person. And then that third degree is I have a family. I live for my children, and I have had my first son changed my life.
Mhm.
I saw God in his eyes, and I said, "Oh, there's life. I understand. There's another level." So for 20 years, you can live happy with just your family and with your kids, but then sometimes we have broken relationships. So I wasn't always with my son's dad. I had my other daughter. She has a different father. Um, he was violent, tried to kill me, but I didn't want to die. I listened to a lot of music, a lot of encouraging music. I went through relationships. That's the fourth degree. And sometimes we have broken families, and we still make it through music.
That's right.
So I talk about music at that time, even the reggae music and some other hip hop music from some strong vocal artists that were female, that were talking
Mhm.
about healing through relationships during the 90s. Then the fifth degree is like my kids are grown up. Maybe I'm single. Maybe I've healed from some of my relationships. But now what do I do? and the family's kind of concerned, like, are you a basket case? Have you picked your career? And so I'm in this career phase and trying to live my life. And that sixth degree is maybe I've reached so many goals. I'm accomplishing a lot of goals. I have aspirations for my kids. I can complete them. And then, your family's still kind of like, maybe you're not healed all the way, because I changed my uh, career a lot. But just trying to really understand life in general. Some people really want to be a diplomat and try to heal other people, and you say, well, I can't heal other people, but maybe I can be beneficial in society.
Mhm.
And so sixth degree is like going to mental health and looking at careers, just like your typical life, you're living at the sixth degree. But then seventh degree is like, I'm going to go seeking for a higher power. Mental health was nice. I went to therapy. I've healed. I found peace, but therapy can only take you so far. And so seventh degree is a spiritual type of, I tried Buddhism. I've tried Hinduism. I've tried self-realization. I tried meditation, Kriya yoga. I've traveled. I've gone to a lot of different places. And then coming to the eighth degree where, okay, I'm going to live my life for God. I've studied a lot of this. I went seeking. I found myself. So the eighth degree is about a life to God. And then it correlates to all of the life structures we have. There's 8 life structures: livelihood, finances, community, our ego, uh, also health, and relationships, financial, life. There's 8 degrees that in those areas I say yes at a higher degree and find peace in each one of those life structures while I'm saying yes. So they're all aligned. Every time I say yes, I go to another level. I level up. And so it's a really beautiful book, just using my story based on theory, that if you share your story, we have a collective hope, others relate. It's restorative justice, and it's profound when you watch other people's stories and how they overcame. And so it's a story of overcoming using my story. And I hope to go and collect more stories from people, and they tell their stories in the workbook that we can share with other communities. I start off with my mom's story. So 8 Degrees of Yes is a large project, and it's lifelong. And I do hope to have more sharing from the community within it.
Mhm. Powerful, truly a powerful story. Thank you so much for taking the time to write it out, to share it with us, to tell us about all the things that we were thinking of. It's really interesting to see the way that your it was like, and like autobiography kind of work along with the theory going into it. So that's really powerful. Um, you've mentioned that 8 Degrees of Yes is associated with prayer, meditation, and rock and flow. How do those practices show up in your live performances or workshops? Are there rituals or sequences do you always return to?
Oh, yes. Thanks for asking. Rock and Flow is another book that we wrote with my prayer partner. We took the 40 days and nights that's from the Bible, King James Version, and we turned it into praying for each life. There's 8 life structures, days. And so each one of those 8 life structures, 5 days, 40 days and nights. And we wrote out our prayers that we did, and we share them in a book, Rock and Flow. So there's a practice of prayer and meditation. We use some of Kriya yoga to meditate, just really energizing, and then sitting in, knowing that God is all there is. And then we pray. And so there is a practice of just meditate, pray, and we kind of close out together. So doing it in community and really having a prayer partner, it really keeps the prayer going. I've been really grateful to start a lot of the prayers 40 days and nights late in the year. So around January, we start the new year, um, depending on what calendar we're looking at.
Hmm.
But I'm really thankful for that. It goes together. Prayer, meditation, and our YouTube, 8 Degrees of Yes _8 has some of the prayer and meditation practices on the website too at 8degreesofyes.com.
Nice, nice, excellent. If a school or community center wanted to build a curriculum around 8 Degrees of Yes, what would you insist must be included for it to stay true to your vision and not become just another program?
Um, I would say that it would have to follow collecting those little stories along the way. So maybe a reading a short reading program. So each life structure at each level has a short book that goes with it of reading for an example of a story that someone has shared. So we're looking at meeting those content standards for young people of the reading standards in the state of California is where I would start at whatever level they're at, and make a book based on the life structure that it's in. Say it's for health and nutrition, and
Mm-hmm.
then saying yes to that at a low level would mean I don't want to sleep all day. And so maybe a story about someone who used to sleep all day and how they overcame depression or something. And then level two would be um, I need more time to make sure I get adequate sleep. Maybe I don't check in on myself to see how much sleep I get. And so making sure I get 7 to 8 hours, and then using maybe a little research on that from one of the healthy sleep websites, that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And so students would read on some kind of sound fact, evidence somewhere, and really learn something about health. And then also look at do I take care of myself in that? Do I sleep too much or do I sleep too little? So the first and second degree of saying yes would be about that in our health life structure. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend that the curriculum makes books out of each life structure at those levels and kind of stacks it up from the first degree of yes up to the eighth degree of yes, and then one in each life structure
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that goes around 8 times. So it'd be a reading program. And then the writing response would be, what did that story say to you? Why is it important to you? And why does it matter to everybody else?
Yeah.
And so just a simple response. And can you tell a time when you uh, kept track of your sleep? And then that part. So the students could respond and share their story about that day, that time.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Nice.
great question. Thank you for inspiring me, because I've always looked to see, can I get my book into the school, or how could it be useful? Because a lot of students said, I want to learn about life, or they have a club, a student club, and they're like, we want to talk about this. And so student voices kind of acknowledge that they want to know, how do I be healthy? Because some students don't have a family, they don't have someone at home who can give them that information
Right.
uh, that needs to be given. Something struggling, a parent struggling with drugs or something. So we could heal through our stories and our books
That's
in
right.
many ways. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Thank you for your answer. I appreciate it. Um, So I know you organized the Positive Music Festival. It was great to drive out and witness that. You've emphasized positive music as a tool for healing and activism. How does 8 Degrees of Yes inform the way you design those events from the lineup to the messaging?
Um, I would say we definitely were trying to tell a story through music. So music with a message. We're trying to tell a story using the stories such as a reggae. It was all the artists were lined up from reggae stories. We're looking at Bob Marley and how he has overcome, and his music is like a leadership music. It talks about biblical stories as well, and really they fight against good and evil. And so I designed it for a positive message of music that has positive lyrics. There's no type of negative or sexual intuition, sexual tones that students are taking on, because some of the music that kids might listen to today could involve this tone of gangster rap, or this tone of something that's not age appropriate. They want to build healthy relationships. So uh, I thought of reggae as mostly spiritual music. And so that focus was on uh, telling stories through music. It goes right along with the 8 Degrees of Yes, that message of healthy, positive relationships, healing, and different artists were telling different stories, talking about different relationships. I mean, not relationships, but different life structures. So stories of relationships, stories of how do we battle our ego. So we had poets there. We had uh, an artist who talked about overcoming challenges in America based on race and gender. We had the scientist, the dub master there, kind of teaching and leading us We hoped to had Julian Marley. He had unfortunately had people in his family who had transitioned, and they had to go celebrate life in Jamaica, so he didn't make it. But we had his band come, um, and they played. One Drop Redemption was there, and so I was thinking about being redeemed after we have been at a low place. We've reached
Mhm.
that eighth degree. We've been redeemed. Now we're seeking outside, inside ourselves for love and reaching for that higher power. And it was so powerful to see the youth and to see all the music come out there to the school. And we just needed more with our promotion. That's the only area we kind of lacked in. Is it was all just our own effort putting it together, but we were supported to pay the artists. But we didn't have, like, some venues will have the paid promotions, and so I think if we could have promoted it farther down to Lancaster and LA County and got the message out, it would have been great because we're in a rural area up here in Tehachapi, Kern County,
Yeah.
um, and Bakersfield is kind of far. But yeah, it was really beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes, I definitely enjoyed myself at that event. So thank you so much for telling me more about the workings behind it, what you were thinking of, and the kind of inspirations and the inner workings. Um, You mentioned in our conversation when I had interviewed you for my dissertation that you hope to stabilize your band and tour more consistently. Since our last conversation, how has that process unfolded and how are you integrating 8 degrees of yes themes into the band's identity and repertoire?
Can you ask that question one more time? I didn't hear that one part. The
Yeah,
identity of the of who?
yeah, no problem. The band's identity. So, you had talked about how you want to stabilize the band and tour consistently. And I was wondering how that process has been unfolding and how you are integrating 8 degrees of yes themes into the band's identity and repertoire.
Oh, that is a great question. Thank you for coming out there to that event and everything, and remembering our band. The drummer was there. Abel from Abel Domino's is usually he's working with that, and Lady Isla, the DJ right there, she's really holds down that route.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to hold that band together, and then this thing happened where I didn't have the job. I transferred to another place, then I had to transfer back, and so financially I couldn't afford to meet with the band, and so we are looking to still form our band and come together and practice. So it's been put off until maybe May, and I want to make new songs with a lot of instrumentals that I've heard. I got a ton of lyrics from 8 Degrees of Yes about the stories and telling music with a message and being able to create songs at each one of those life structures, and then talk about the praising God, the Most High, or do Psalms. So it probably will be in the summer that
Okay.
we have to hold that band together. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense, makes sense. When you look at songs like Young Black Girl, Voices, and your newer work, where do you see the clearest evolution in your craft? Do you see that evolution as a lyricist, as a vocalist, or as a spiritual teacher through music?
I see the evolution as definitely coinciding with prayer. Life is a prayer, and the songs are songs of prayer. And Young Black Girl, it's like I feel more of a time of peace now. And so I think I've evolved more as a lyricist to write more praise songs to the Most High, short stories of overcoming with the end we overcame. And then as a vocalist, more softer tones and kind of stabilizing that one voice and not being, here's a real powerful, strong song we're trying to overcome. It's like a protest type of song. There's a problem in the justice system. Heal uh, uh, our women or anything like that. It's more like praise God. Let be consistent with like a mellow flow so we can tell stories and heal in restorative justice circle and praise the Most High and be consistent.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I think we'll have for our last question, how has audience feedback, especially from youth, formerly incarcerated folks, or Black women elders, shaped the next directions you want to take both your music and the 8 Degrees of Yes project?
Yes, thank you for that question. It's a really big deal to really take that 8 degrees of yes and make it into something. I had a lot of feedback when I used it as a class course through correspondence. I had to mail in the material to the prison, and it reached prisons all over the state of California and uh, across the nation. It was maybe a couple of states. People responded back. We have Bobby Bostic. He is known for his writings while he was incarcerated, being sentenced as a young youth. And now he's an adult who goes and speaks to the youth. He came out to the school too for right before that music festival. It was right after the music festival.
Mhm.
And he goes around speaking with the judge that sentenced him. And so those together, we want to keep that energy going. And so I know people who were formerly incarcerated, people who are healing, they want to know more about foundational truths of life that I need to make it into. It's like vital to make it into curriculum or into a program to do something with it and get it out there to the world. And the book is available. I got to revamp a little bit of the workbook, but to turn it into a larger project and have it be funded by a school or by, you know, a government organization who may give a grant or something like that, or get a team together, it's definitely something that we could do and that we should do. It's just vital for the community, for
Mm.
making sure we can transform and maintain and sustain.
Awesome. Thank you for your time today, Empress Truth. Thank you for agreeing to do part two. I was very happy when you said you would. And I really appreciate all your insights. I encourage you to keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up. Keep on going despite any challenges that you have to overcome. And I really appreciate you one more time. And hopefully we can join again and discuss in the future.
Thank you so much, and the same to you. I really love this the Jahmi Roc jottings. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. Much respect to it. I pray that you have all the prosperity, abundance, and support, and joy and blessings in the name of the Most High always. And I appreciate your support as well. Thank you so much. It's great to see the representation of another Black uh, academic out there. So I'm just so grateful to be inspired by you. Thank you for the support and the upliftment.
Of course, of course. And to our listeners, thank you so much. Stay blessed, keep your head up, and don't forget, keep jamming.